Hi everybody, welcome you all in Ortho Implants for Life. Today we are going to discuss about post-COVID changes in orthopedic industry. And today we have with us a very distinguished guest, Dr. Sudipto Banerjee. Dr. Sudipto Banerjee is a director of Align Consultancy Services Private Limited. Align Consultancy Services deals with human engineering and consultancy of various services. Apart from that, Dr. Sudipto Banerjee is also Vice President of Jesco Healthcare, and Jesco Healthcare is a leading manufacturer in the field of orthopedic implants, spine implants, and various other implants. Dr. Sudipto Banerjee started his career with Synthes and Sulzer at about 25 years back, and he was there for about 12 years. And after that, he has been given consultancy to different manufacturers of orthopedic implants in India. So today, we would be enlightened by Dr. Sudipto Banerjee. So coming to Dr. Sudipto Banerjee. So Dr. Banerjee, since you are a doctorate in management and you give lectures to different universities, at the same time, you're also holding a different important positions in orthopedic implant industry. So kindly let us know how this orthopedic implant industry is going to behave in this post-COVID situation. Because we used to hear that this industry is recession-proof. But what is the situation now?
It's a very good question, Mr. Mukherjee, and thank you on behalf of Ortho Implant for Life for inviting me for this interview. First of all, the recession-proof, orthopedic industry recession-proof was a concept few years before. It was a very valid concept that orthopedic industry is recession-proof. But since 2008, the orthopedic implants industry have undergone a drop of around 131 billion rupees dollar since 2008 recession, and it was expected. And the orthopedic medical device industry is growing at 20% rate, and it is going to touch at around 70 million by 2025. But orthopedic implants out of that growing as at 4.7%. This is the report given by the auditor called Pulse of the Industry. Pulse of the Industry, if you go to the report, anybody can see that this orthopedic industry has been heavily affected by COVID-19 in recent times. That has been published in the Pulse of the Industry audit firm. And this shows that because what happens is that there are some reason, because the THR company who manufactures totally, they are getting 27% less the money which they used to get previously. General revenue collection is less compared to the previous time. Number of surgeries definitely because of the lack of anesthesists, lack of doctors availability, lack of planned surgery. And there is a guideline given by the ministry in the COVID times, and there is a guideline issued by Indian Orthopedic Association and the British Orthopedic Association for orthopedic surgery guidelines in COVID. We says that only for the planned surgery, which can be postponed, should not be done now. Only for the trauma and the emergency surgeries should be taken care. And there are a lot of guidelines given by them, which is available in the website. In this situation, you can well understand that there is a crunch of fund flow for all the companies now, and there is a drop of revenue generation now. And recession, yes, there are more than 20% recession rate already in India. But in this situation, I feel that to stop the recession, the company, organization, any organization in India will not leave any employees of them on whom the doctors and the company is dependent for the knowledge of the product. If the person who is representing the organization have the proper knowledge of all the instruments and all the surgical techniques, those employees are respected by the doctors, by the surgeons, and they are called to be the so-called asset of the organization. So those type of, in orthopedic implants, if we say for the trauma implants, like we go for DCP plates and screws and DHS plate and interlocking nails, okay, most of the doctors are acquainted with the instrument sets, but they want somebody to assist them. Why? Because there are certain reasons, because there are, as per Indian Orthopedic Association, there are around 13,000 orthopedic doctors in India who are registered in IOA. And the non-registered doctor, non-member orthopedic surgeon is more than 10,000. So we are having around 25,000 orthopedic surgeons in India. And as per the record in the net, each and every surgeon in India does on an average 3 to 4 surgeries per day, orthopedic implants. So we are having around 80,000 orthopedic implants, trauma surgery, not only trauma, I am talking about orthopedic surgery. We are having around 75 to 80,000, even more than that, as per a practical situation, which is not recorded in some of the small nursing homes. It should be actually more than this. So the number of surgeries happening per day in India is more than 80,000 surgeries in orthopedic implants. So with 25,000 surgeons doing 3 to 4 surgeries, means around 1 lakh of surgeries per day, to 80,000, 75,000, 80,000, with including the unregistered surgeries done, it should be around 1 lakh surgeries per day which is being operated. And the interesting point is that we have doctors to patient ratio in orthopedic surgery is 63,000 patient to one doctor, which is unbelievable situation. So what orthopedic doctors need is that, suppose any physiotherapist or any assistant of any maybe paramedical staffs who can be upgraded to assist the orthopedic surgeons and to perform more number of surgeries to attend the need of more patients. This is a huge problem not only in orthopedic industry as a whole. There are lack of gynecologists to a great ratio, lack of anesthetists. Even the anesthetists we lack compared to many. So to overcome this, to give proper treatment to the patient who need it, 63,000 is to 1 doctor ratio that is available in the website, in the net. So if this is the current scenario, you understand what is the need of proper expansion of paramedical staff utilization into orthopedic industry, so that the patient who needs the surgery should get it on time.
So Dr. Banerjee, what I could understand is that this recession has also affected India, and a major part could be the price reduction of certain implants. At the same time, what very important thing what you brought to our notice is that the patient is to orthopedic surgeon ratio is so high that there is a huge need for paramedical staff to support orthopedic surgeons, so that more number of patients can be given proper service, proper healthcare support, which the orthopedic surgeons may require.
Absolutely right. Because it is not only for the orthopedic doctor, even for gynecologists, we have less than 50,000 gynecologists in India as of now. Out of that, 60% are in rural. They cannot go to rural areas. So we have very shortage of gynecologists. We need minimum 2.5 lakh gynecologists we need in India. The same thing is in anesthetists. We need 2 lakhs anesthetists. We have 45,000 anesthetists. We need 2 lakhs pediatrician in India, but we have less than 35,000 now. So 1.5 lakhs radiologists we need, which is very common in orthopedic practices. At least we have 10,500 registered radiologists in India now. So these are the gaps which have been there existing in Indian healthcare industry. So our country does not require monetary budget in the anywhere monetary budget. So our country requires the liberation of nursing and paramedical education and utilization of the paramedical staffs into the main field, into the mainstream of medical practice. So proper utilization of the pharmacist, maybe physiotherapist, along with the orthopedic surgeons, maybe the nursing staffs, will definitely help just reduce the gap to give a better service to the patient in India. Suppose in Australia, in Canada, in different countries, in Scotland, in United States, they have given remuneration by the Australian government to the paramedical staff. It is called the Comprehensive Home Medicine Review. They call it as Comprehensive Home Medicine Review. In Canada, they have all the paramedical staffs have limited prescribing rights. For that, they have to do a compressed course conducted by the government there, by providing the government expanding the service of the medication review. In United Kingdom, they have the prescription right. The same thing is followed by the additional training and obtaining by the prescribing right. All the paramedical staff have to obtain a prescription right by having a training under the government. So this is already prevailing. In Scotland, the same is there. Scotland, it has been done Scotland is a very strict country. But they are bound to do this because to serve the patient, the demand of the patient. But in Scotland, they accept the control drug. All the drugs they can prescribe. There are certain control drugs which the Scotland government did not allow them to prescribe. At least this also will reduce the burden on the surgeons, for the doctors. And in United States, they have a direct consultation to the patient under the banner of senior care pharmacy. They are called the senior care pharmacy in United States. So all these countries, all the leading countries, these countries have adopted this. But unfortunately, the developing countries, for fear of regulations or whatsoever it may be, I don't want to comment on that. They are very, very conservative in expanding the usage of paramedical staffs and serving the patient, reaching to the patient. Our problem is not serving the patient. We have good number of expert doctors, but reaching the patient is a problem here. So for that, we need to utilize the paramedical staff and get the things very smoothly function in Indian context.